grew up surrounded by that. So my extended family, every get together was, we would sing, somebody would play an instrument, jamming sessions. Our Christmases were like very, very musical.
Since we are talking about music at this point of time, I would also love to know about, like, if someone who is starting from scratch, okay, so no background, just they're curious about music, so how would they begin with it? And since you're a musician, so you can like guide us better. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Skara Spotlight, a video podcast where we talk to creators, brands, agencies, and much more and know about their journey and struggle. And today we have with us someone special, someone from the music industry. She is Serah John. She is the founder and CEO of Music Pandit, which is redefining how music is taught across India. And she has also appeared in Shark Tank India Season 4. She is the finalist of the Seed Spark program at Stanford University and is a certified music business professional. And we are very glad to have her on board. And during this podcast, we'll be talking about her journey, about how she started, about Music Pandit, about Shark Tank, and much more. So stay tuned. So, Serah, how are you?
I'm doing good. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, great. We are glad to have you. I already have a set of questions that I had in mind before, so we'll just pick that up and proceed with it. I would like to ask you the first question about how did the passion for music basically start? So if you could just give me a brief detail about that, that would be nice.
Okay, great. That's a fantastic place to start because that's exactly where my story begins. So I come from a family that is very musical. Okay, mainly my mother and my mother's side. My mother herself is a musician. So I've been singing, performing music from the age of 2, 3 years old, and I've been very, very closely, bonded with music from a very young age. And we grew up surrounded by that. So my extended family, every get together was, we would sing, somebody would play an instrument, jamming sessions. Our Christmases were like very, very musical. So there is no get together in our family without music. So you can imagine, like, that's fundamentally what we grew up with. So my passion for music was always there, right? So as a child, typically a parent sees your child who loves music, let's put them in music class, right? So that's where the whole journey started. So my mom would put me in music class, and within few months I would drop out. Simply because, for a small child, they were very uninspiring. They were very strict, the very boring topics. The way it was taught was very, theory heavy, very technical. And as a small child, you get very demotivated because you're not able to understand. You're not able to, grasp it as fast as the older kids, maybe, or adults. So, and you think that that's the only way to learn, right? So that means maybe I'm not cut out for this. So I always had it in me that, how is it possible that music, such a wonderful subject,
Yes.
can be taught in such an uninspiring manner? There has to be a better way.
Since we are talking about music at this point of time, I would also love to know about, like, if someone who is starting from scratch, okay, so no background, just they're curious about music, so how would they begin with it? And since you're a musician, so you can like guide us better.
I think first of all, you have to be curious and willing to want to learn.
Yes.
Okay. And I'm a hardcore believer that, hard work trumps talent. Some people may have natural affinity towards certain things, but without practice, nothing would. You can't, especially music, because you have to build your muscles in music, right? So if it's guitar, you have to build your arm muscles, your finger muscles. If it's vocals, you have to build your vocal cords. So I think, first of all, the curiosity has to be there. And then start small, start simple. And, basically start exploring sounds, explore things that you're enjoying, and don't fear mistakes. Like, you don't have to be perfect. Music is one of those things you should focus on the fun and the joy of it, right? Not perfection. So that would be my take. And look for very beginner friendly programs, right? You don't have to play 100 songs. Your idea is, say you want to get to play your top 3 songs. Start there. And if you can achieve that, won't you be inspired to do more?
Exactly. Everybody, like, whenever you are starting something, people always have this preconceived notion that, I have to be perfect in it. So it's okay if you make some mistake, and that's how life is, right? I also have a few questions that were related to the relation of mental health with music. So I thought, like, what better platform to talk about this than now, because I have been doing my masters in psychology. I have completed it. So I just wanted to, talk about it. And since you are a musician, so why not, let's, talk about it, because I have seen that there's a first-hand impact of mental health on music. I mean, there have been studies, how it improves your cognitive abilities, your thinking, and your processing. So, if you could tell us about that how is it related?
Absolutely, absolutely. So, fantastic question. And I will first talk a little more generic about this, and then we'll get into what we do at Music Pandit that is related to this. Okay. So first of all, I mean, everybody knows music is about expression, joy. It helps you reduce stress, manage your emotions, and it's also therapeutic because you can express yourself in ways that you can't otherwise, right? Now for kids, it's almost like it's a safe space, right? They can express feelings they can't yet verbalize, right? Children also, because of that performance, they continue to perform in front of people, they build that confidence. And as we were talking earlier about how to get good at anything, you have to practice, right? That builds discipline. And all of this is connected to cognitive health, it's connected to empathy, and so many other emotions within children, especially. The impact in kids is huge, right? And it's simply because scientifically, music is the only subject where you use your logical thinking, because you're actually reading the music and you're actually doing physical activity together. So it's processing both and happening simultaneously.
Absolutely.
So as per certain research, it says that music is learning and playing music is equivalent to a full body workout for your brain.
Actually,
Yeah, it's equivalent to that. Yeah. And that is why there are neurons which normally wouldn't fire being fired. And therefore, the connections in your brain are far more than a person who doesn't play music. Now, for adults, right, music, I would say it's like catharsis, right? It's mindfulness. It's community.
yeah.
Like, you go to a friend's place, you play a song on your guitar. I mean, everyone's gonna surround you. Socially, you become much more open, right? Connected.
Yeah, you can express yourself better.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it's a release from your daily stress. Everyone, right, from a small child to an adult, is dealing with today's stress. Right? So I think that's what we are really focusing on at the core of Music Pandit. We want kids to just fall in love with music so they can have a lifelong companion that can help them de-stress, that can help them, be expressive, be happy. Right? And today what we are also doing is we are measuring this. So at Music Pandit, we are working with child psychiatrists and we are helping kids become happier, more confident and expressive. I would say almost 35% of kids, parents, actually say their kids have become happier since joining these classes. That's the kind of impact. Yeah, and that's the kind of impact we are proud about. If we can focus on these kind of numbers, we can focus on real change, then the numbers will come.
Absolutely. So you guys already have child psychiatrist on board with you.
They work with us, yes.
All right, that's amazing. I think people should learn from this, because mental health is equally important. So I think that should be the part of the core of any platform, whether it be creative edtech platform or, let's say, STEM platform. So I think this thing should be there. Since you mentioned about Music Pandit at this point of time, can you give us how it actually started? What was the beginning point that you felt like, okay, fine, this is the starting point, this is why I need to start Music Pandit? So if you can just give us like an elevator pitch, that would be great.
Okay. So the real idea behind Music Pandit, I think I already touched upon this story a bit in the beginning, where I talked about, I was going to so many music classes and I was frustrated because the lessons were boring, teachers weren't engaging, and it's honestly a personal frustration, right? And by the time I became a teenager, it was already in my head like a bug. It was already there telling me that maybe there is something for me in music. And, I went along my own way. I went into, I did my engineering, I went into the corporate world, I did my MBA and all of that. But somehow, after my MBA, when I came back, I really felt that maybe this is the point for me. I had some major life changes, thoughts, and all of that, and I felt that this is the time that I have to take this risk, and maybe jump into music. And yeah, so about 15 years ago, I made the leap to get into music. And also during that time, I also did a lot of training myself, learning music because I wanted to get qualified and I loved music and I always wanted to know more. And I did training with a lot of teachers abroad. So I was training under a teacher in the Netherlands, in the UK, in the US. And what I found very interesting is that the way they were teaching, right? The pedagogy, the methodology, that they've really thought about it. They've thought about me as an adult who's learning from them, what I want, and they've structured things that way. And so I just took that information back and I always felt that why can't we do this and simplify it down for children? Why can't we make it fun? Why can't we make it interactive? Why can't a topic be taught with a game?
Absolutely.
So it came from that. And so at the same time, it should be fun yet effective.
Yes.
Right? So that was the focus. And we really felt that, I really felt that we could do this. So we started an attempt with this. We started with the physical center back in 2015, in Bangalore. And we actually did a lot of experimentation on the methodology. And we realized it was working. So that's when we kind of I think after COVID was when we really doubled down, to build the platform that we had in mind. And we felt that we could give the same impact online. So that's the birth of Music Pandit. Fun yet structured.
Yes, and I think after COVID, most of them had generally shifted to online platforms, right? So that was like a leverage and an edge that might have given you. And also, you mentioned about the pedagogy or the methodology that you have seen outside. So how is it different from India? Like, is it more structured, more defined? Like, what India is missing in terms of this?
So for example, let me take you back say 10 years to some other places where I observe music classes, right? You would have a 8-year-old child and a 25-year-old and a 18-year-old all sitting in the same class, all being taught the same thing in the same way. When actually you're a psychiatrist, you understand that everybody doesn't learn the same way.
Yeah.
And everybody probably doesn't even want the same thing.
Absolutely.
An 8-year-old child is just learning the basics. They actually need to build their skills. An 18-year-old probably is learning some specific things, and same with the 25-year-old. 25-year-old probably doesn't even want to learn a lot of techniques. They just want to learn some songs. They can play with their friends or something like that. So what I observed was, how come we are not thinking about the student? And how come we are not building something that is more appropriate for them? To give you an idea, today we focus on children, right? We teach right from the age of 6 years to about 14, 15 years. Now, 6-year-old cannot have the same curriculum even as a 15-year-old because a 6-year-old can't even read. How do you put a lot of technicalities and a lot of words and all of that on their screen? You can't. So we approach it in a very visual learning pattern. We don't use technical terms. We teach them using a lot of fun, a lot of games, a lot of activities. So that's the kind of methodology we are using. So just to give you an idea. On top of that, even the teachers that we hire, right? Our teachers today are not bound by geography. They're all over. But what we focus on is we get the right type of person. It's not just enough to have a teacher who's qualified, who's got experience. But we want a teacher who's empathetic, who can be kind, who can handle children in the right way. That's far more important. Who can bond with them, right? So these are the type of things that we've invested in to make sure that the output is right.
That's amazing. That's absolutely amazing. And that's what is needed. If you don't have the right teacher, then I don't think so anything would work, because that's the core of Music Pandit, right? So since you have spoke about this, I also have this question that when you were starting Music Pandit, I'm definitely sure that you might have received certain eye rolls, like from parents or someone, because of course as a startup, when you start, you definitely have certain challenges. Even when we are building Skara, we have that. So, what I feel personally, one of the challenges that you might have come across is, one on one teaching is much better than online learning. Maybe you might have come across this question, like why I would want to enroll my kids into, an online learning platform, especially with a creative field like music. So, what do you have to say about it? What edge does an online platform give that traditional setup or one on one does not? So,
Absolutely. So I think let me break it down to some of the things that we hear from our own parents, right? So we have a lot of students scattered all over the world. Now, especially students, say, take a city like Bangalore, right? You cannot go to any place beyond 5 kilometers beyond your house. It's almost impossible because of the traffic and the time and all of that, right? So parents are looking for convenience, but at the same time, they don't want to compromise quality. This is a big factor in which why they come to somebody like us, where they get quality learning from the convenience of home and without wasting a lot of time and travel. Okay. Second thing is, we find that they get really access to high quality teachers. Just because you go to your local neighborhood doesn't mean that you have a good teacher who's running with a good curriculum in a structured manner and all of that. Unfortunately, what we see is most neighborhood music schools, just like we were initially, we were bound by who's willing to come to that space.
yes.
Even the teacher will not travel more than 5 or 10 kilometers.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you are bound by that. And if that teacher leaves, that students also leave along with them. Here we are building something completely different. Here we are building a school. Right? So today if your teacher is not there, you'll have a substitute teacher who's as good as your teacher. And that's a guarantee we can make because of the format in which we operate.
Okay. So you have all the teachers working, like you have like batches where you teach group sessions, right?
Absolutely. And you also mentioned one point about one-on-one.
Yes, yes.
We have actually taught in both models, offline and online. And we've done a lot of trial and error before we got into this particular model. So what we found is when children are learning one-on-one, right, they are just sitting alone with an adult for about 45 minutes or an hour. I mean, after some time the child gets bored, right? Why do we send them to a school versus just sitting at home and learning with your parent?
Actually,
Right? Because a child needs that peer-to-peer interaction. They need a little bit of healthy competition. They learn from each other. So for example, one child is just not getting it, right? They might actually observe another child doing it and they will be able to pick it up.
yes.
Yeah, so there is a lot of benefits from having these group sessions. And not only that, see, these kids also build a bond with each other. They actually become friends. And when they become friends, they also want to come back and enjoy together, which means they will come back regularly to the class and they will actually learn.
Yes.
Right? So there are a lot of factors why we've looked at it this way. And I think one more thing that people worry about is that can an instrument be taught online?
Yes, yes,
Right?
absolutely.
So absolutely, I get it. So let's take an example of a guitar, right? When a child is learning guitar for the first time, we see there are honestly 2 or 3 things that really is a concern in terms of physically, right? First is how do they hold it? Are they holding it correctly? Second is are they placing their fingers in the right place? And the third is guitar, they have to press the strings. So are they pressing it with the right amount of pressure? As a beginner, these are the only 3 things you have to worry about, right? And that's why, since we know these and we've already identified these key areas, we focus on this for the first 1 or 2 months.
All right.
And we really actually spend time on this so that we get that right. But that doesn't stop them from learning, that doesn't stop them from enjoying, and doesn't stop them from actually achieving things otherwise too. So that's our approach.
That's absolutely great. And I think it's like a community, right? So you all of you are working together, even kids are getting friends. So it's like more fun and engaging. And that might not be possible in one-on-one or physical sessions. So that makes absolute sense. Moving forward, I also have one question that I wanted to ask about how these STEM platforms, like let's say Vedantu, an academy, they have always been taken as something like a serious learning space, right? But do you think creative edtech platforms like Music Pandit can stand shoulder to shoulder with these platforms? Do you think there is a space left for creative edtech platform to shine more. So what are the challenges that you feel while building this? Because creative edtech platform is difficult, right? You have to convince people a lot, join our classes or do this. Like from inception to death, it's already defined that my child is going to be a doctor or an engineer, but not a musician. So how do you tackle that?
So as you said, right, STEM is often seen as serious because of the career pathways.
Yeah.
Right? But creativity builds equally valuable life lessons. And what I mean is things like confidence, discipline, teamwork, cognitive or emotional intelligence, right? And music enhances all of these things, including problem solving, cognitive development, and even improves STEM learning outcomes.
Okay.
Because all of this is connected.
Yes.
Right? So I think today creative edtech deserves equal recognition because it prepares children for holistic success, not just academics. And I'm telling you, today parents are realizing this. I'm happy to see, especially a lot of Indian parents around the world, not just in India, they're realizing the importance of this and they're investing it because they know that it develops these life skills in their children. They understand that. I think that change is already coming and I think eventually it will get there.
I hope we get through that, because really music, dance is something that people should pursue, and apart from the mainstream subjects. I also wanted to ask you about Shark Tank, because that is something that's really interesting that caught my attention, and I was like, okay, fine, I have to talk to Serah about it. So Shark Tank is like a huge platform, right? And right now, if any of our viewers will watch this podcast, they would want to know some few things about Shark Tank, and what better than asking you. So if there's a startup, for example, let's say we, Skara, okay, and if we want to pitch our product, so what are the rounds that they have to go through, to qualify for that? Because I haven't found a concrete detail anywhere on the internet. So I think you would be better able to guide on this. So what are the rounds that they have to clear to get through it? So that would be great.
So to give you an idea, typically Shark Tank India has about 3 to 4 rounds. Okay. Last year they had 3. I think this year they have 4 rounds. How it starts is roughly around June, July every year, they open up their entries. So there is a website, Shark Tank India season, whichever. So for example, right now season 5, you can go onto their platform and you can apply. So they will ask you a lot of questions about your business, your numbers, they will ask you to write certain information, probably even share certain videos. Then the second round is they need to check how probably you appear in camera, how presentable you are you confident? So I think the second round is a meet and greet, probably that happens in all the big cities it's happening. So we did ours in Bangalore, where we went to the audition, spoke to some of the producers, they asked us questions. So we had a lot of videos and clips about our students and all of that. So we showcased that. We pitched Music Pandit, we actually ran through our pitch deck with them. And then they had some questions for us. So it took about an hour session where I think they were pretty impressed and they found us very interesting and different. So they said that, okay, we'll come back to you. We may have more questions. And then the next round, they actually said that we are through. So the third was, we were called to Mumbai and for shooting. So we were there for 3 days. In our case, we were an online school. So, it was a bit tough, but they said, please, can you bring your students? So we actually had to contact a whole bunch of our students and they flew in from all over the country and joined us for that program. So it was 3 days in Mumbai. They did the trials, we did a lot of practices with the kids and all of that. And then we did the shoot and came back. And even then, they tell you that there's no guarantee that it's going to be aired.
All right.
Until it's actually the cut comes out well.
Okay, that's something that I didn't know. Okay.
It can happen. Yes. So I suppose they do a few extra, maybe like the worst ones get cut. So that can happen. So that's the number of rounds we went through. However, this year, what I understand is they have the online application, then the city, in any of the big city, first audition. Then they have a second audition in Mumbai in their studio itself. And then they have a final. They call it.
Okay, that's a rigorous process. My God, you have to go through a lot of things.
Pretty grueling process.
Okay.
Absolutely. They vet very well. So they're all legit companies that are coming in. So I think that's pretty good.
So when you pitch to the sharks, how is it different when you are doing it to VCs or angel investors privately?
I think with VCs and investors, typically, you're able to take them through your pitch deck, and then they will probably wait and ask you the questions at the end. So actually, you can get through your business, give them an idea of the business model. Whereas on Shark Tank, I think it was like typically exactly like sharks, they just pounced, just after the intro. So it was absolute chaos, I would say. And Hindi, unfortunately, is not my first language, so I took some time to process everything and answer questions. And even then, I felt like I was lacking because I was not able to give it in English, which is, I would have been very much more confident and strong in what I was saying. Yeah. But yeah, so I think that's the difference. And of course, they do all of this because it is a TV show and they do want to create some, drama and excitement. I get it. So that's typically, yeah. So you can expect something like that to happen.
Of course. Okay. So it's difficult, definitely. It's very difficult because you have to get through it. You have to cross a lot of rounds, and I think even if you don't get it, it's very good for visibility and exposure.
Yes.
So you get your product out there to the world so people know about it. That's how I got to know about you. So that's why. And also you went through Shark Tank and everything happened. So what were the key learnings, that you applied after, Shark Tank was over into Music Pandit? That you felt like, okay, this is the things that we need to do.
Yeah, I think what I realized on Shark Tank is, probably we were at a place we just about scaling, right? And we had spent a lot of time in a few months before Shark Tank, setting our processes in place, putting KPIs in place and all of that. And probably in that, I had lost sight of maybe some of our financials and a little more focus on the financials, which I think completely changed after Shark Tank. So since then, we've been really focused on the numbers because we had already set all the other things in place to scale. So I think that has been a major factor change for us. And I think secondly, we realize the importance of something like this giving us legitimacy because we are an online school. So Shark Tank, the one great thing that has happened is people saw us on Shark Tank, or we have those videos we can share with our customers, and they're like, oh, okay, you guys came on Shark Tank, so you're legit. You're a company, you're really a company. Whereas a lot of scams happening today in India online, so people are scared. And I understand that. So this has been a great turning point for us as well.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what, no, it's very good for visibility and exposure. People know you and that's how they think, okay, fine, this is legit. So I would like to also drift away from this topic a bit and want to turn into AI because right now it's the age of AI. So why not, let's talk about it. So I have seen lots of platforms like Suno Music and all. And we have seen the impact of AI on music. Do you think, will it be a disruptor, will it be a collaborator, or will it coexist with each other? What's the relation of music with AI? So this is something that's very interesting and I would love to know your take on it.
So I would say it's both. Let me explain a little more how, okay? So in terms of the collaboration part, I would say they've come up with great tools for composing, practice feedback, personalization, and making learning engaging as well. So we use some of these tools. But in terms of as a disruptor, I would say there is risk of over automating things and losing that human touch in creative arts, which is a real danger. So I would say there is sort of a sweet spot, and it is really to use AI to enhance creativity, not replace it. That's really, I would say, how to look at it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So how, if AI just comes over, so how will Music Pandit adapt to it? Will it hire?
So today we are already using AI tools. Like I said, we use it for personalization in the classes. We use it to give students practice feedback. We use it to create games and activities so it makes classes engaging. We use it to track their attention in class, So all of those things are already being used. But like I said, it's only to enhance the creativity which has come from our people, our team. It is not to replace that because you really cannot.
Absolutely, you cannot. It's irreplaceable, especially with creative platforms. Absolutely. And I have this very last question that I ask everyone at the end of the podcast. So I would love to know your take as well. So just wanted to know that if you wanted to have a book of yours, like whatever journey have you crossed at this point of time, what would be the title of that book and what would you want people to take away from it? If you had a book in mind, like this is what the title would be. It's okay if you can just give us the title, that's fine.
Maybe The Music of Possibility.
All right, that's interesting. That's interesting. That's interesting. All right. So I hope if ever you write a book, you.
Sure. I mean, yeah, I don't know how it just came to mind. So, yeah, definitely. I could see myself doing something like that in the future.
So, Serah, it was really good having you here.